Welcome to the fourth episode of this concrete tutorial series. In this episode, we will start working with the blog page. So we will add the blocks inside it, and then we will create a little bit more special setup so we can dynamically fetch all blog pages and then display them inside this widget sidebar here. But first of all, we then also have to specify this page that it is a special page. Before we do that, let's just add the content to our first blog page and maybe even create a second blog page so we have some content to fetch later on. So I'm going back to my sitemap. We have the blog 1. I can keep it like that. Cancel. I visit it. My dog Leslie doesn't look that good. Let's change some stuff here. I'm going to delete this block. And honestly, I'm too lazy to create now this block too, so I'm just going to reuse this full width hero header image. So I'm choosing an image. Maybe I should just upload another one so we have a little bit more variety. Hero height will then be 150 viewport. Text position will be to left. And then we already can edit. Okay, now we can see that there's an issue here. And that is also totally understandable because our hero big image only exists inside the default page. So I'm just gonna update my CSS styles here. So I go back inside themes and then inside CSS, base, default page. So hero big image. I probably should move it up inside global because I'm not only using it on one page but on multiple pages. Saving it. And now it works out of the box. Good. So that one is fixed. And then we just edit the content here. Because at the moment we're using the default text content of concrete, but we want to use our custom one that we created. So text block. Again, I just copy paste all of this. Maybe a couple of times. Padding, since this is the one for the single page, the text content, we don't need any padding here, so we don't need padding, and the default is 0 pix value. Then we can edit. And I can publish the changes for this page. Okay, looks good. So before we're now going to do some widget blocks here, we first have to talk about some special methods of concrete. Because every page that we create lives in the database, and we can use or access it using a special method called page list, or special class called page list. So what this does is we go ahead and we say then what kind of page type do we want to get, and then it returns us all page types that we have. Right now, if I'm not wrong, we don't have any single page type. Okay, we have a default one, the page, but we want to create one page called blog page, which we then can use for creating this blog page, and we can only fetch the blog pages later on. So I'm just going to create a new page type then. The page type name will be blog page. The page type handle, that one will be the value of the page type that we can later on use to access with PHP. So that should be something PHP friendly. I'm going to just call it blog page. Default page template should be single. Launching Composer, I don't need that. And it should be published below the home here. And that's it. Now we can edit. And then we can also edit the form. The edit form, that is the composer that we see up here. So what kind of information does this page need? Well, it needs the page name. Does it need a description or URL slug, single page? Since this is the blog page, we are missing here a category form. So I think let's create one for ourselves. And to do so, we then first have to go to attributes. And then we can see all the attributes here that we can use inside here. So I'm just going to create a new one. And that one should be a selector, an option list. No, it should be, okay, let's do an option, because then they can select multiple. Yeah, then they can select multiple categories. So the handle, what should be the handle type of it? Let's do category selection. The name of it is select category. Set, we don't need that. Content included in search index, that is what we want. Field available in advanced search, no. Yes. No, we don't want users to add some stuff, or actually we could do that. Display order alphabetically, and then the values will be, so what should be our very first value be? Good question. Let's say animals. Maybe we want to have cars. Maybe we want also to have plants. I don't know. So now we created this one. The attribute is successfully created, and now we can add it to our blog page. Edit form. So you don't have any composer form layout control sets. So let's see what this means. If I now go to design here for this page, and I say, okay, this is something I have to do inside sitemap. So if I now say design and type, and I say page type is blog page, and I visit again, then when I open Composer, we can see that we have no information here. So we have to do that manually again. So I'm going to add a set name, information, or just maybe let's call it blog page. So that's just going to be the title of the whole set that we're going to add. Basic blog page information. And there I then can add all these attributes that we have here. So first of all, what are the most important ones? It's the page name. Another one that we need is some description. Maybe someone wants to have some URL slug. Page location should also be an option. However, by default, custom template, no, we can't do that. So that is something you should also do. And then we will use a custom attribute, and that is the select category that we just previously created. So those are now all added. And if we refresh Composer here, we can see that we have now all the options here. So let's fill out some credentials. Okay, and I'm just curious why the select category is not working. Let's quickly check upon that. So custom attribute, custom label, no. Let's go back to attributes and see what we have here. Oh, there it is. Okay, seems like it had to be without the user allowed to create their own categories. So select category, it's gonna be, this one is gonna be about animals because we're talking about my dog Leslie. And I'm gonna save it for now. Then I'm gonna publish the page. And then we will try to fetch that page here on the first site for recent blocks. So let's create this block, and then we will try to do the work for with PHP code. So then we first of all have to go back to Concrete 5, create the block with block builder, and I'm gonna call it latest free block posts. Basic information. What is it that we want the user to change here? I think the only thing they should be able to change here is just like the title of this block, because all of these elements will be populated by fetching the other pages. So block title, I'll just call it title. Required yes. And that's it. Oh yeah. I'm only allowed to have letters and not numbers. Okay, looks all good. So now we can go back inside PHP or inside Concrete, inside blocks, and then open the latest 3 posts. Yeah, probably. So if we now have a look at our files for the default one of the latest 3 posts, we can see this is the whole block. So I'm gonna copy paste the whole block here. And insert it into my page. Then the only thing that we currently can do is edit the value of the title here. And of course, you should try to keep consistent with the CSS elements, which I totally didn't, but it's good practice to keep consistency there. So if the value exists, then output the value. Else, if it doesn't exist, then just output a default value, which should then be recent blog posts. And again, even if it is default, even if it is required field, it can sometimes happen that it's not existing, so you still want to have some default value to fall back to. Okay, so now we can see we have some repeating items here. Post, post, post. First of all, I would suggest that we go and try to fetch the blog posts. To do that, we first define what is the page type handler that we want to fetch. And if I'm not wrong, we defined it as a blog page. But just to be sure, blog page. So the title is blog page here. Then from there on, we go and create a new instance of the page type class or the page list class. To do that, we just go with new \concrete /core /page list. So we created a new instance of the page list class. And then for the page list class, we say filter by collection type handle. And then we give it the page type handle that we have here. After that one, we then sort by display order so that the user can, let me just quickly go here to the sitemap. So that the user, with drag and drop, they can order it, the position of each block, of each page here. So PL again, sort by display order. And then we go and fetch all the pages. The pages should be then saved inside this variables. And then we say page list get results. And now we can also make a raw dump to see what we get from pages. I'm going to save it. And then on our home page, I will try to add this block and see what we get out of it. Nope. So it is latest 3 blog posts. The title, what did we have again? Recent blog posts. That's the only thing we have to add. And then I'm going to save it. And we already have an issue here. Throw new exception method does not exist for the as class, and I'm get called class. Oh, and it is because I said nigh and not by. So and now we can see these are all the information I'm getting from the page list about the class, and probably if I do a search my dog Leslie, we can see that my dog Leslie page is part of the result that I'm getting. But I only want a part of all these results. So let's do some updates here. Then latest, so here we have it. And then I start a PHP here. And only if we have more than one page, then we want to run this for each. So if pages amount is bigger than 0, then run everything after here. So latest log here, PHP, else, then again PHP, and if. So if nothing is returned back from concrete, so we have no existing blocks, then either we don't want to output anything, or we just want to output a message, there are no blog posts yet. And this is something that we want to do in a for each loop. So we then say only if the pages count is bigger than what we want, or there is at least one block. So for each pages as page, and then here PHP and for each. So now what is the title? The title is echo, and then we can say page, and then we access it by get collection name. That is how we access the page name. An overview or a list of all these access methods, you can find them on documentation.concrete5.org inside the folder of concrete, core, page, and then page. Page is also similar to page list, but all the get access methods that you want to use, you can find them in here. So get collection name tells me then here I can get the page of the name, the name of the page, sorry about that. So if you need a reference to look for something more specific. Now we also want to get the description of the page. That is probably whatever we input inside. Let's open one more page here. So now we also want to add the small description here that we then can display here in the bottom. So going back to Concrete 5 again, to the code, we can send in PHP. And here we do echo. And there we say then get collection description, if I'm not wrong. Let's check that. Get collection. Nope. There we have it. Get collection description. That is how we get that collection. Echo page get collection description. Then we also need the link. That should be something with a link if I'm not wrong. And there we have it. And now the only thing that's missing is to get the category. Since category is something we specified or we created ourselves, we can't simply use all the attributes that Concrete 5 has specified inside the get method here. That is where we have to use something more special with get attribute. And it looks like it's not part of the course, so let's see what we get by having a look. Get attribute. So it's not this one. Okay, it should be somewhere inside Concrete 5 here. Let's just quickly see get attribute Concrete 5 namespace. Okay, I can currently find it quickly, but I know what I have to do. So we're just going to continue from there. So in order to access then the value of this selection, we can then use something called get attribute, and there we then have to specify. Sorry for that interruption. So that is how we then can access that attribute with the get attribute, and we then have to say what is the name of that attribute that we want to access from this page. So looking back at attributes, we have select category, and that one has a handle of category selection. So once again, inside var dump pages, I'm just going inside to say pages, 0 to get the first one, and then we say get attribute, and the name of it was category selection. category selection, and I'm just gonna var dump that one to see what do we get from my dog Leslie. We're gonna refresh the page. Okay, looks like we're getting our error here because maybe I have started something here which I didn't finish. Or I'm just gonna output it like this. So p tag php. I'm just gonna make this style font right bold so we can see that it stands out. And there I say then echo page get attribute category selection. Yes. So now we can see that we output here animals. And that is the one that I also had here for my dog Leslie, animals. If I now say 2 for animals and plants, so 2 selections, then I'm getting an output here of 2 selections, the animals and the plants. So maybe we should also add a little bit margin at the top, saying 10 pixels, and font size maybe down to 12 pixels, so it looks maybe a little bit better. Yes, so now we have the title, the read more, and all that stuff. Page is pending approval, so let's approve the page. Publish changes. And let's create more mockup data for the next pages. So we have my dog Leslie. Then let's create a new page. This time we don't want to create a normal page, but a blog page. So here you usually see the blog page types. So if I create a blog page, then it will already be taken over as a single page, which we can see here. But do I really actually want to recreate the page over and over again? No. I just want to make a copy of the page. So to make a copy, I just go back to sitemap. I drag and drop it. I copy the page. Go. So now I create a copy. I visit it. I change some elements here. It's not my dog Leslie anymore, but it is, let's say, my bird Alberto. Also has some description. It's still about animals, not about plants. Then we can publish the changes here. Then we also have to edit here some text. And of course, you're now asking, why are we not simply then just doing the title inside Composer and then insert it inside the page here? We could do that, but there are maybe some situations where you want the page to have a different name than the title here. But if it is that situation that those two are the same thing, then you totally can fetch it the same way as we just did it with this one here. So changing it to my bird Alberto. And then we create one more page, maybe for a plant, my car. I'm just dropping that one below home. just move. That one should be above here. And then we create a new one, copy page. And then we edit this one again. So my pretty yellow car. And I update the page title. My pretty yellow car. And it is a car. So now if we go back to the home page, if we refresh, we should see at least 3 elements here. And we can then go over to all these pages. So if I click now on read more here, I should be redirected to my bird Alberto. Then the final thing that's missing here is to do the widget. So for the widget, we simply need to create an empty block then. And yes, we even need to use the block builder to create an empty block if we don't have any kind of user input, because the block builder simply makes it possible to drag and drop the element inside the page. And now we created this empty block, and we have the blog post widget. We open the view again, and we go ahead again for our examples of our blocks and see what kind of structure we have for the widget. So this is the block we have for this widget block. We just insert it, save it, and we can see that we're simply looping through all the blocks here inside an li. So I think since we already have this set up, we just copy paste it here. And then also this if count, because we only want to show something if something exists. And then we also have to end those if count. And if there is no block yet, then I don't want to display anything. So the else is not needed. And then we can start with the loop. First of all, we want to get the collection name, which should be outputted in here. And then the collection URL is the collection link, which comes in here. Then I can delete all of these. And if I'm not wrong, this block should then work already. So now if I add it to my page, I just have to delete this one. Nope. Also not this one. We want to have the widget, blog post widget. And there we have it now. Here we have our latest blog posts. And now we made a lot of use of these global classes or these classes from Concrete 5. What's left to do is right now we don't have limited it to 3 here. So that is in the next episode, we're going to have a look at paginations, how we can use those to limit the amounts of these. And probably we will also have a look at how can we limit it to only use, for example, animals or just display animals. Of course, you want to give a user the input or the selection to select what kind of categories you want to do, but you already know how to use the user input. So we're probably just going to do it a hard-coded way. And after that, we will then later on have a look at how can we then use the navigation here and the footer so we can edit it in a way we want to. And also that it is global wide. So see you in the next episode then.